decision making concepts. Now decision making concepts are also called conditional statements or selection statements, and instead of using the word statements we can also call them constructs. So we can say decision making constructs, or simply decision constructs, conditional constructs, or selection constructs, or selection statement, conditional statement, or decision statements. So what are decision statements or decision making statements in Java? So if you see this second here point, there are two types of selection statements, if and switch. That means whenever we have to make some selection, we can either use if or we can use switch. So in this video we will learn the use of if, how to use if to make a decision or to make a selection, or if there is a condition, how to use the condition with if. Now here, though there are two types of selection statements, this ternary operator, that means question mark and colon, can also be used as an alternative to if. Okay, but we will only focus on if in this video. Now here if you see, I have written the syntax of if. That means if you have to use if, you will write if, and then you have to put these round parentheses. Okay, so within the round parentheses we will write expression. Now the expression is also called a condition. Okay, so instead of expression we can call it a condition. That means after writing if, within the round parentheses we will put a condition, and we will not put a semicolon here, because if you put a semicolon here then it stops here, so the statement will not be executed. Okay, so we will not put a semicolon after this, and then in the next line we will write a statement, and of course there is a statement terminator, that means there is a semicolon here. So that means if followed by round parentheses, within which we will put the condition based on which we will make a decision. Okay, now this is a simple use of if without else, and here this is the complete if else. That means we have a if along with else. Now if you see here, this part remains the same, and else means if the condition is this condition which we have written here within the brackets, if this condition is false, then the else part will be executed. That means it will go to the else and execute this statement which is written under the else. Now if you see here, after else we do not have any brackets, we do not have round parentheses, and we do not have any condition, because the condition is only put in the if. Okay, so if this condition evaluates to false, it will come to the else part and execute the statement, and if the condition is true, this statement is executed. So you can see that we can have if without else. That means if there is nothing that we want to do, if the condition is false, we can skip the else part. Okay, right? So let us learn it with an example. Now here in BlueJ, what we'll do is we'll create a new class. Okay, and here, so let's call it test if. Okay, and we're creating a new class. Double click or right click. So let's double click on this, and now here let us just remove this code. These are comments, and again this is a single line comment. Let us remove this also, and we will write our own code. So I'm removing everything from here, and in fact let me remove this method also. Right, now I'll be creating my own method here within this class. So let us create a method called let's make it public and void, and let's call this method cal, and round parentheses, and then open the method body by opening the curly braces, and then let us close the curly brace of the method. Now within this we are writing this program wherein we will take two numbers from the user and we will print the greater number. Now for taking the numbers from the user, till now we have been initializing the variables. That means we have been, let's suppose the two numbers are n1 and n2. So initializing means, let's say n1 is equal to 12, comma n2 is equal to, let's say 45. So this is called initializing the variables. Now we will not be initializing. What we'll do is we'll pass these variables as parameters. So that will be like input from the user. So how to pass the variables as parameters? Within this method, within the round parentheses of this method, you will write int. You can take any name, any identifier. So I'm taking n1, comma int n2. So if you see, we have passed two parameters here. These n1 and n2 are called parameters here, and you have to write the data type of each parameter. That you're saying here that the data type of n1 is int and the data type of n2 is also int, and both are separated by a comma. So this is how we will write. int n1 comma int n2. That means two parameters are passed because we want to take two numbers from the user. So this will allow the user, when we run this program, to enter two numbers. Now we have to write a program to check which number is the greater number. So we can do that using if. So we will write if, it is in small case. As I told you earlier, we have to put the round brackets. Now we will put the condition here. Now what is the condition? How do I know which number is greater? That means if n1 is greater than n2. So we will write the condition here like this. If n1 greater than n2. Close the round brackets. After that comes the statement. So if n1 is greater than n2, that means we know that n1 is the bigger number or the greater number. So we will write system.out.println. We will write n1. We want to print the value of n1, that is why we are not putting any double quotes around it, and then string concatenation, and then double quotes open, give a space, is greater than, again close the quotes, string concatenation, and the value of n2. Okay, so this is a simple program in which we will be taking two numbers n1 and n2 from the user. That means the numbers are passed as parameters, and we will use if. So we have used the if without else here. Okay, and in a short while I'll explain how to use else also with this. So I've just checked which is the greater number here. If n1 is greater than n2, we will print this message, and then we can have a second if wherein I'm checking. Okay, let me just copy it, and here what we'll do is we'll write otherwise if n2 is greater than n1. So we will write here n2 is greater than n1. So whichever is the greater number, that is being checked. So we have two if here. Okay, so save this program by pressing Ctrl S. After that we need to compile the program. So click on the compile button. Now there are no errors. Now we can close it, and then we will have to right click here and new test. Okay, so when you do this, it will create an instance, say okay, and now here right click and you will choose this method void char. Now when you do this, see, it is asking us to enter the numbers which we passed as parameters. So let me just enter two numbers, 23, and then you click here in the second box, you can enter 45. So now you say okay. So you see 45 is greater than 23, right? Now let me run it again, and now this time let me enter the let's say the bigger number is n1. So 56, and here we enter 12. So now it says 56 is greater than 12. Okay, so this is how our program, this was our program. So we did it using two if. Okay, now instead of using two if, we will change this program and we'll use a else here. So I'll remove this part here. Okay, this if, and instead just write else here. So now else, and here see what we have done is if n1 is greater than n2, then it prints n1 is greater than n2, then it prints this message. That means this statement is executed. If the condition is false, that means if n1 is not greater than n2, in that case it will go into the else. Okay, so this else is part of this if. So in that case it goes to the else and it executes the statement which is within the else. That means it prints n2 is greater than n1. So obviously if this condition is false, it means n2 is greater than n1. So that is what we are doing here. So let me save it, and you have to compile it again. Okay, so compile it. Now if we run, we'll get the same output. So let us just create new test, create an instance, right click, void char. So let me just enter two numbers, 12 and let's say 23, and it says so you see this output window, 23 is greater than 12. Okay, so it is showing the output, right? So let us close this and let us go back to the program. So this is how we write if else. Now here if you see, we have just one statement within if. So this is called a single statement, and within else also we have a single statement, but we can have more than one statement to be part of if or else. That would be compound statements. Compound statements example we will do in the next video, but as of now just understand that this is an example of a single statement. That means we have just one statement within if, and here also we have a single statement. Okay, here you need to understand that this condition, that means if will be executed, the if statement, the statement which is part of if will be executed if the condition is true. And condition true means that it should evaluate to a non-zero value. That means if instead of writing like this, if I simply write if 0, So if 0 means false, because in computer 0 is false and 1 is true. So if 0 always means false, so that means it will go to the else. Okay, so the condition has to be true. So if you write if 1, that means true. Okay, so just remember this, that the if n1 is greater than n2, that means it is true, so it evaluates to a non-zero value which is 1. Okay, so that is it for this video.